Alrighty, y'all, welcome to Ellis Mowers. We're on part 3 of the Wizard riding mower now. It's the 14.5 horsepower overhead valve Briggs with the 42-inch cut on it. We have, in part 1, got it running. In part 2, got it driving. And now in part 3, if all goes well, we'll get it mowing. So, it's doing both fairly well now. It's running good, driving pretty good. It likes to wander a little bit. But I think I got to loosen up everything in the steering because I don't think it's really been moved in a while. But I got the brakes working. Probably need to push it. As it's in neutral now with the park brake on, and it's for the most part staying locked in. The brakes on these Craftsmans are not known to be good, anyways, especially for the gear operated transaxles. So we got it rolling though, and stopping. Now I'll probably do the seat treatment like I did on the Husqvarna and put the remainder of that car seat cover on it because this thing is rough. But I'll give you a look at the Briggs engine. 14, I think it's a 287707. If I remember correctly, I put a better air filter on it. I don't have a brand new air filter like I usually put in these things. Like I said, I'm trying to do a quick turnaround on this one. Haven't really had it in the garage more than a couple days and made a lot of progress. So the body of the mower is good. The steering is good, except for the fact it likes to freeze up whenever you're turning right in reverse, which is kind of what it's done right there. I think with a little bit more driving it around, I'm going to cut the entire yard with it before I sell it. It'll get there. So next order of business, I've got the deck here. I'll show you the top of the deck here in a little bit. This mower, I guess, has been sitting a little while. There's another wasp nest. That's wasp nest number 3 that I found on this deck. It was probably put on, new blades were probably put on close to the time that it went into hibernation, so to speak. The spindles move freely, the bearings or the pulleys move freely in the deck, and only thing is this spindle had so much rust on it, the little star pattern broke off of it whenever I took the blade off. It's still gripping into the middle there, so I'm just gonna impact the mess out of it, and that should do the job. Should give some nice friction. The way that these blades are, they're not really going to come loose. It's actually funny because this blade was a little loose and it has the better star pattern on it. But let me put these blades aside and I'll turn over the deck for y'all to see. It's your basic 42-inch Craftsman deck. Nothing special. Nothing special at all, actually. It does have the anti-scalp wheels on it, which is kind of cool. I have scalped this wheel off because it's frozen, which I think is just got a bunch of crud up in there. I just need to impact it off. Anti-scalp wheels aren't the end of the world if I had to take them off. But here, I'll show you the deck. When I got it, the deck was off of it. I had to rob a couple of pieces in order from another junk, well, it's not a junk deck, but another mower that I'm not using to get it operating like it should. So it's a complete deck, blade brakes and all. Just need to lube it up some. But as you can see, the pulleys are spinning freely. I put a little lube on them, and since they haven't been running in a while, it's kind of like, waking up the dead almost. Not to be graphic by any means, but, think. If you're a pulley and you haven't turned in a few years, it's probably going to take a little bit to wake you up. But I got everything else that I need, mounting pins and all that. And everything else is on the deck that I need, including the blade engage lever. So I'm going to sharpen the blades, and I will put the blades back on And then we'll just put the deck on, and I'll put the deck belt and all that good stuff on too. I've got some deck belts back here somewhere in the pile. Might have to dig them out, but they're back here somewhere in the pile. I'm going to put them on. Here they are. I think I bought 2 of them when I bought them. But that's going to be on there, and hopefully we'll have a cutting tractor by the end of the day. Alright, I'm going to do my best to show you how to put one of these on. This wheel is, it'll roll, but it has a lot of resistance. I did put some lubricant and stuff on it, but nothing, it's, rust is taking it captive. But I'll tell you what, let's put this deck on. I've got some mounting points that I'm going to show you. And let me show you the orientation everything needs to be before you put it on. So this is your deck lever. And this goes somewhere up here as well. So that's kind of the orientation. You want all this stuff pointed towards the front. And this is one of the mechanical engaged decks, so you have to put the belt on before you put all the brackets on. The cable engaged you can put, you don't have to take any brackets off to put the belt on, but on the mechanical ones you do. So let's just slide her under there. As long as it will slide under there. I'm going to give you a good vantage point, and I'm just going to put the deck on. Make sure you have all your pins and stuff. I have the arms that go on the front of it as well. So, there we go. So, first order of business. Just slide it in, just like that. What we'll do first is we'll connect our arms. I'll get a blanket so I don't get terribly dirty doing this. Oh, I'm a dummy. So this arm pull this thing back out again. It's been a while since I put one on. And I should know this. This arm actually connects to the there. So that arm connects there. I don't know what possessed me to think otherwise. So I had it opposite. Sorry about that. I'll put a clip in. This is not going to be the prettiest clip in the world, but it will do the job. Not the prettiest. Now we'll put the deck back on. And let me show you where I'm going to put this hole at, or this blading gauge at. It's going to go right into that hole right there that you see. So that's what I'm going to do now. Push the deck down. Got to push it past the bracket. All right. We'll go ahead and put that in there. Alright, so that's in. Now your deck hangers supposed to go right there onto that hole, and they'll clip down too. I'm going to have to find more clips, but they'll clip down as well. And you might want to get those oriented first. And I'll do the other side. Here's what you can do before you put the belt on. You can put this back bracket on right here. Like so. So you can put that back bracket on and clip it down. That's a go, so to speak. And we'll clip it down. Sorry for the shakiness of the camera, I'm just trying to. You put that clip in, and then let me go fetch the deck belt. I'll put this other one on as well right here on the front. It's the lift arm. And then I will, I'm going to go get the belt. I'll show you how to orient the belt on this thing, and then we'll finish putting the rest of the clips together. Alrighty, y'all, I got the deck on it. It's not aligned correctly at this point because it's leaning toward the back, but I just need to loosen up these mounts on the front and I'll be good, and probably raise the ones on the back, honestly. I don't think I've got them on backwards. I don't think there's a backwards because it's pretty level. It's just sloped like this, and it needs to be sloped like this. Maybe not that extreme, but you know what I mean. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to crank it up, drive it over here so you won't see me for a second, and then I'm just going to engage the blades, come back and get y'all, and we'll go for a ride. Hopefully we don't mess up a new deck belt. I'm always very wary of that. Okay, I'm not gonna run it long like that because it's gonna burn up. It's gonna burn up the belt on the front part of the pulleys there. So what I'm gonna do, and I had it on deck number, or height level number 4. So the rear of the, I need to adjust it because look at it. And with it being like that, it's gonna eat out the belt at the front. So I gotta give it a lot more room at the front there for the belt. So what I've got to do is I've got to take the arms of the mower back off the deck arms. I've got to free these nuts and bolts, and I've got to pull them out. Probably a good little ways, because this thing, like I said, is jacked all up. So that's what I'm gonna attempt to do next, and then after that, we'll address the. Well, we don't have anything to address after that except to wash it, don't we? So after I test mow it and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna align the deck. I'll show you how to do it, or at least I'll tell you how I do it, and then we'll go back and tidy this thing up. But as it is, we have a running and cutting lawn tractor, so that's really cool. I'll catch y'all in just a second. Alrighty, let me show you what I believe the difference was. This is the one I had on it. This is the one I'm going to put on it. I believe these are off of a 38-inch deck, and so they have an extra bend to where they mount. I think these would work. I just have to back them out pretty far in order for them to work. But we're going to put the proper 42-inch ones on here, since I've got a couple of them lying around as of right now. I had some that came with the mower. I don't know what I did with them. I think these are it because they're all muddy and such, but I know these came off a 42-inch deck, and so I've got 2 of them, like I mentioned. I'm going to put them on, and we're going to see if that makes any difference in the height, so that we're not, you know, trying to mow down the yard and then get stuff caught under it. And plus, it's not good for the belt either. So let me swap the arms out. I'll show you the end result when I finish. Alrighty, so I went ahead and finished the deck. Again, I just put these arms back on them and took out, I guess I took out a lot of what was in the front of the deck here. And I got it pretty level on both sides. But I have to physically take these arms out and take 3/4 inch wrenches in the vise and everything in order to get them out. So that's what I was doing. I got it pretty level on both sides. It was a little lower than I usually put decks, but as you can see, I don't have the cocked up in the air look, what we like to call down here the Carolina squat, when people jack the front end of their truck up and and then lower the back end of it. So it has the correct look to it, which will help prevent excessive deck belt wear. Although when you put the belt down pretty low, it's still gonna ride on the pulleys like that. It's just the way that it is. It's kind of as good in the pulleys as it's going to get, to be honest with you. I'm just going to turn the blades on and I'll show you where it resides on the pulleys on the highest setting of the deck. It's riding right in the middle of them. You can see a little bit of deck belt wear, but that was from earlier where I had it not quite right. Now I got it kind of jacked a little bit better. It should wear a lot better. And with this being a cheaper belt, I know I'm going to start following Ken's Small Engines advice and go OEM on these things, because I have not had good luck with the cheap ones. At the very least, I'll go with the Kevlar ones. The Kevlar ones seem to hold up pretty good. I tell you what, let's go for a little drive. Put some gas in this thing. So runs like a top. Runs awesome, and I know I haven't addressed the stator issue. I don't think I will, just because this thing's running so good, and if you put a trickle charger on the battery, you're never going to notice that something's wrong with the stator. somewhere. Not anymore. Good blowing action. Let's look at how everything looks down here after just doing that small little stint. Woo. I think the belt is a little bit on the tight side, but it works. If I put the deck any more up, it'll get it even tighter. And I think it's wearing the belt well right now. From what I can tell, it's wearing it evenly on all sides. And I'm just, next order of business is I'm gonna get it cleaned. Once I get it cleaned, I'm gonna run it, cut the yard with it. I'm gonna make sure that there's no abnormal deck belt wear or anything like that. And hopefully with that cycle, because it's a new belt, it's gonna be pretty tight. It'll loosen the tension of the belt up some, and it'll run a lot better. So that is as high as it goes. I know it's a little on the low side. However, I don't want to jack it up to that point because it's working great right now from everything that I can tell. So we're going to get this thing cleaned up, and then we'll probably put that seat cover on it too, make it look a little bit better. And then I'll do a final test mow with it, and if it passes that, y'all see me on the other side of the video. Also going to do a, if I have enough black paint, Pate's Performance deck restyle with it being on the mower there. There is one little hole right there, a rust hole. But the rest of the mower deck is solid, especially around the mounting points and such. Because that's where I usually look and see how bad it is around the mounting points. But it's looking good. So I think we're going to be in good shape here. I just need to get it washed and put a little bit of paint on the deck and make it look a little bit better. This red should come out pretty decent after it gets a nice little wash. One thing I did notice about the nose, this front end got a little jagged at one point, and so the hood is a little bit, there's a little gap between the hood and the nose cone on it. Nothing that I'm going to worry about. So I'm going to get it up to the wash bin, get it washed, and put a nice little restyle on the deck. I know Jason Pate will be proud of that. And I'll test it, and then hopefully you'll see me do a final look of this wizard that looked like a hunk of junk when I pulled it out of the yard, but really took very minimal work in the grand scheme of things to get going. Very happy with how this one turned out, all things considering. Alrighty, y'all, here's the final product of this wizard. It actually turned out nice. I wanted to make one note. I know I mentioned that I was going to put a separate video for the brakes. The way that video turned out I didn't really like, so I'm not going to post that video for a couple reasons. I didn't get the brakes fixed like they needed to be fixed doing that method, so there's no need for me to show that method when it didn't work. What I ended up doing is the brake pad was a little worn, and so I ended up putting some washers in between the mounting plate and the actual brake pad so that it wasn't binding up there on the arm, because the arm was binding up and it was sticking the brakes and it was wearing the brake pad. So I have also, since y'all saw this, also did a quick little spray on the deck. I didn't have a ton of black, so I just had it very rudimentary. And there's two little bitty issues with this mower that it'll be sold as is. But one, I mentioned the stator. I think the diode right here went bad. It's shorted out, because what it does is it gets really hot after you have the switch cut on for about 30 seconds. The thing starts smoking on you. So I could fix that. This mower just runs too good for me to really want to investigate fixing it, because I don't want to burn up any wiring harnesses or anything like that trying to fix it. It's just a small consolation that the battery won't charge while it's running. However, it's got a good battery. It's got a 350 cold crank in it, battery in it. So it's got a pretty beefy battery. And so you're not really going to have to worry about it. You can just throw it on a trickle charger probably once or twice a year, and you'll never have to worry about it. And then another issue that I found, I didn't even know it was an issue until I looked at it, and I don't think it's really going to affect it in any way. I didn't even know there was a mounting point down here, but this mounting point right here actually broke, and I didn't even know. Like, it doesn't really affect anything because everything's mounted on the sides too. So that was just kind of interesting that when I saw that, because the thing's running and cutting. It's cutting great. The new deck belt, as you can see, it got it broke in, but it's not wearing abnormally or anything like that. So you know, cut my entire yard, which it was running for a good hour or so. Any bad symptoms would have shown up then. I do have this deck situated kind of low, and you can see that the pulleys are very low whenever it's right here near the bottom. But hopefully you're not cutting your grass down on the ground. That'll be my hope anyways. Most people would be cutting it at about 4, 5, or 6. So, and at those levels, it's perfect. I'm shooting y'all up at the sky there. At those levels, it's perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a run around here. The transaxle works good now. The brakes work good. And it's just those two little bitty things that aren't working right anymore. But you know what? It's a 25-year-old residential riding mower. And I've sold one basically exactly like this earlier. it's going to be every bit of $400. So all the tires hold air, starts, runs, cuts good. Just has those two little minor issues. So let me crank it up and we'll go for a ride. And also one more thing, I put the top half of that $8 seat cover I bought at Walmart, I put the top half of it on this. The bottom half went on the Husqvarna. So there it is. Funny thing is, it was running slightly better earlier. It is pulsing a little bit now. And the steering sorted itself out too, just from use. Alright, so blades on. Belt just came off. It was I was running it on 4, and it was didn't seem like it liked it very much. But I ran it on, like I said, I ran it on 6 the whole time I had it cutting earlier, and it did beautifully. So makes you wonder, I might look at the deck a little bit more just to make sure. I'm gonna lower the deck just a little bit. As you can see, it was trying to wear the belt a little bit. Got caught on the inside of the belt, it looks like. The belt looks fine still, thankfully. Starting to fray a little bit. Just makes you wonder because everything's tight on it, which is what I don't get. I'm going to put it back on real quick. Because I'll show you, it'll cut on deck height number 6 all day long. If I can get the belt back on it. There we go. So it'll cut on number 6 all day long. It just slips off on the lower settings. Like I said, I cut it with it all day on number 6. Very interesting. I might do a little bit more deck adjustment, but I'll go ahead and end the video here. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Got a nice little wizard riding mower running here, and you can catch me at Ellis Mowers 09 on Instagram and Facebook. I had to put in the comments when I end up doing to the deck, hopefully to make it a little bit better. But like I said, everything's lined up, and I don't think where that deck has broken off back there in the back has made any difference, although I might weld it back on, and if I do, I'll add it to the end of the clip here. It won't take much for me to weld that back on, and so I might do that, add it to the end of the clip, and see if that helps with the deck issues that I got here. Alrighty, let me show you. I welded the back end of this on, so it's not going anywhere now. And what I'm also doing to help combat the deck issue is I'm turning these front arms in about 3 turns. And so, bless me, I'm sorry. I just usually take them off the mower, put them in the vise, turn the back nut out some, and then turn the front nut in 3 turns, just to, what it'll do is raise the front of the deck up a little bit. It won't change the side-to-side action or anything like that because I'm doing it the same number of turns. Be sure to do the same. Be sure to do each side the same number, otherwise you're going to have an unleveled deck, especially after I have already leveled the deck. So I'm going to do that. Put the deck back on the mower. I'm going to check the height levels, and hopefully we'll end this video. I think I like this result a lot better. I got the deck back on it, and turn these arms about 3 turns in. And let me just show you real quick. So that's with the blades off all the way up. Blades on. And I'm looking at the orientation of the pulleys. And it looks like we're in pretty good shape on this, on all the pulleys here, from what I can tell. You got to get these things like almost perfect in order so that they don't wear the belt too bad. It's a little on the high side with the 6, but like if you're on the 5, 4, 3, and 2, you're on the money with it. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna try it with the 6. Also, y'all saw I got it fixed, the welds fixed on it. So hopefully this will fix this. I might let it run for a few minutes like this with the belt, with the deck on, just to make sure it's not wearing the belt out. And it's still a little bit lower in the front than it is in the back, so that's always a goal too. I'm just really not a fan of that deck belt. I'm going to run it down the driveway a few times, and I'm just going to put the blades on and off. And they got twisted around a little bit. Still not a fan of it, but what I'm going to do, I am going to lower it maybe one turn in the front on the deck arms, and I think that's going to do it for me. It's a tad too high on number 6 right now. It's starting to wear the inside of the deck belt a little bit. And I'll tell you one thing, it's you don't want to get these things too high either, because that's when it's going to cause problems with wear. You'd rather have them a little bit lower than a little bit higher, from what I've experienced, contrary to what I have said in previous videos. And you need to buy better deck belts than what I buy. I've learned my lesson. I'm buying nicer, like Kevlar belts after this. I'm going to let it run a little while. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, though. I just needed to address that issue, because like I said, I saw the deck belt jump off, and so I don't need to be doing that on the new owner. I would hope that they're not going to cut the grass on the ground. So I just have to tell the buyers that, being like, just be on the lookout. You might have to put a deck belt on it at some point. And probably not best to cut on the ground. Never is a good idea to cut on the ground, but I'm going to get it to where if they can cut it like 3 or higher, then they're going to be good. Again, I'm dealing with a 25-year-old mower, so you're talking about pulleys that probably don't line up as good as they used to, and things along those lines as well. Hate trying to line up deck belts because it looks like frayed. It likes to fray here and there. Got to cut that off before I pull it off. Well, oh boy, at least it's only an $8 deck belt, right? It's not going to kill me if I have to replace it, but still. I'm I'm not really happy about it. I might do a few things to this off camera, but for now, we have a running cutting riding mower, Wizard. Turned out pretty nice for what it is. I'm going to do a little bit more deck work to it, but I'm going to call this video a day. Like I said, it ended up turning out pretty good. I just need to get the deck right. Once I get the deck right, I'll be in good shape. So, and probably it's just because I got a cheap deck belt. But thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video. You can catch me at Ellis Mowers 09 on Instagram and Facebook. See you then. And just as an aside, to end this video, that deck belt's in the garbage. I've got a new deck belt on it, and it is adjusted as good as I think I'm gonna get it. So we'll let it ride like this, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Thanks again.